and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right. So bear with me for a second here, guys. Let me check my LinkedIn and check our YouTube channel. Yep, we're on YouTube. And are we on LinkedIn yet? Yes, we are on LinkedIn as well. Okay, cool. All right, so guys, let's go ahead and get started. So the reason for this live, and by the way, if you guys can hear me okay, do me a favor and drop a hashtag live down in the comment section, just so I know that you guys can hear me. And that way I can make sure that I'm not talking to myself. But the reason for this live today is because, as some of you may or may not know, JPMorgan has opened their application for summer 2024 internships. Okay. And this was last Friday on December 2nd. I think they posted the application for a few days, and then they might have taken it down temporarily. So I'm not sure if it's back up yet. Like if you go check right now, the application may or may not still be up, but like a lot of the students that we're working with, they definitely have already submitted their JPMorgan applications. And then they've also, a lot of them have already gotten HireVues actually from JPMorgan. And so that's how quickly things are moving. And, but I think JPMorgan, they give like automatic HireVues. And so like typically as soon as you apply, they'll give you the HireVue right away. So like, that's not really like a selective process or anything. So I wouldn't be too worried about that, to be honest. But regardless, the application was up. It might be down temporarily. Even if it is down temporarily, I'm pretty sure they're going to put it back up very, very soon. Like it's definitely not because they're already done recruiting after just like 1 or 2 days or whatever. So that's kind of like one of the main reasons for this live, right? Is that a lot of you, especially if you're sophomores, you're probably wondering like, okay, what does this mean for the summer 2024 recruiting process? Does this mean that everything is about to kick off? If it does, like, what are the things I should be doing right now? And so if that's kind of what you're here for, then you're in the right place, okay? Because we're going to cover a lot of those things today. I'm going to answer, like, by the way, like while I'm talking here, and as we're giving people a little bit of time to sign on, because it's only been like 3 or 4 minutes. If you guys have any questions that you want me to get to, drop them down below in the comments so that you can get your question into the queue. And I will, do my best to get through as many questions as I can. Usually I do these live streams for about an hour. I also actually have friends that are coming over. And so I do probably have to hop at some point, but I'm going to try to get through as many questions from you guys as possible in the next an hour or so, just to like kind of, help you guys out. And I know that every time like recruiting kicks off, it's always like a very stressful and like anxiety inducing time of the year. And so, I want to make sure that you guys feel like you're supported and that you know what you need to do. Okay. Now, before we kind of dive in, like for those of you, and while you guys are dropping those questions down to the comments, again, to the queue, just for those of you who are not aware of who I am or what Wall Street Mastermind is, like my name is Sam Shaw, the founder of Wall Street Mastermind. We've worked with over 750 students over the last five plus years to help them break into investment banking. And historically, we've maintained an over 90% success rate, meaning like of the students that have actually gone through our entire program and finished the program, we've gotten over 90% of them into investment banking, okay, which is an insanely high number. And people are like, that can't be true, whatever. It's like, actually, it can be. Like statistically, the number of students that we work with, you got to understand, like there's probably over 200,000 people that are applying for investment banking every year, right? So even if you take all of our students as a percentage of the overall candidate pool, like we're working with like probably 0.1% of the applicant pool, right? And the stuff that we're teaching them, a lot of this stuff is like stuff that's not being taught anywhere else. And like, it's a huge competitive advantage that they have that other people don't have, right? So that's why they're able to have such a high success rate, to the point that we actually even offer a money back guarantee on our program, which is like if you work with us and you do all the work we ask you to do and you don't get into investment banking, we'll actually give you a full refund. Okay. So like we're the only company in the space that's doing anything like that. So if you think it sounds crazy, it's because, yeah, it is, right? But like, that's how confident we are. Like we don't let everyone into our program, but if we talk to you and we do invite you into our program, that means we're confident enough to get you the job, and we'll put our money where our mouth is and offer you your money back guarantee. Okay. So that's a little bit about us. Collectively, our clients have been placed into every single bulge bracket and lead boutique bank out there. And so like at this point, like we know exactly how all these banks recruit, what they're looking for, what they like, what they don't like. And so that's a little bit about us. Okay. So I'm going to start going through all these questions. Like, if at any point, like at the end of this, like, if you guys want to learn more about us, like, feel free to let me know, drop a comment down below or whatever, and we could talk more about it. All right. So there's a lot of questions actually today. I can already see like the queue is building up really, really fast. So let me start with the question on LinkedIn, because there's only one there. So I'm just get through that. So Winston Nguyen asks, I saw the 2024 link on LinkedIn on Friday, but it's not available now on the website. Would you mind checking the link for me? Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier, Winston, which is like, I think it was up for like a day or two, and then they took down the link temporarily. I'm pretty sure it's temporarily. It's going to be back up again. And so I'm not sure why they took it down, but like we definitely have students that have already applied as soon as the application opened, and they've even already gotten invitations to HireVue. And so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Like if you missed it, like it's not like, oh, this is it, it's done. Like they're going to repost the link. Like who knows what they took it down for? Maybe HR like needed to get organized about something, but like it will open back up. So I would just like keep monitoring and don't freak out. Okay. Speaking of the HireVue, one quick thing that I will share with you guys might have seen me post this earlier today on my profile, but if you haven't, you should go follow my profile, by the way, on LinkedIn, because if you haven't, I do post useful information on there all the time, including resources. And so I made a post about basically like, we've gotten our hands on all the JPMorgan HireVue questions. Okay. So like JPMorgan and all the firms actually, like they have a list of questions that they choose from when they give out HireVues. And then so like for the JPMorgan HireVue this year specifically, you're going to be asked to answer 3 questions. Okay. But those 3 questions are randomized. So they actually come from a list of 24 different questions, 24 possible questions. And so like the most challenging part of the HireVue, and for those of you that don't know what a HireVue is, it's basically like the first step in the interview process is for you to go through a HireVue. And a HireVue is basically just, you have to record your answers to like the 3 questions that you're assigned. And then you have 60 seconds of prep time for each answer. And then they give you like a certain amount of time to answer each question. And then like, I think in this case, it's like 90 seconds per question. And then you can reattempt each question up to 1 time. So like 2 times total, basically. Right. So if you don't like your original take, you can do it a second time. Okay. But there's like 24 questions, and like usually like people are going in blind and they don't know what the question actually is. Right. And so you're going in and then like they give you like, they show you the question on the screen, and then you have like 60 seconds to prep your answer, to think like, oh, what do I want to say? And organize your thoughts, and then like organize the structure of the answer. And then you have to like just deliver the answer on the spot without like a lot of times without being able to practice it at all. So like that's a very stressful thing to have to do. Right. And then like literally your answer to these 3 questions will single-handedly decide whether you actually get the super day or not. Like, cause that's literally the only step before the super day. So think about how crazy that is. Like you nail these 3 questions, you go to the super day. You don't nail these 3 questions, like you're not going to the super day. Right. And so what we've done is we've actually gotten our hands on the entire list of the 24 questions that they could possibly ask you. Okay. And if you just like study this list, and if you just make sure you have really good answers prepared for all 24 questions on this list, then you will not be caught off guard, right? Like it's impossible for you to like not know the answer to what you want to say. So if you want to get your hands on this list of questions, which I created this document here with the 24 questions, as you can see. Okay. So it's all here. And if you want to get your hands on this list, all you need to do is, and sorry for those of you that are on Instagram, you probably can't see this because I'm not sharing my screen on Instagram. There's no way for me to do that. all you have to do is go to my LinkedIn profile, go and then like click on like the most recent post that I made under the, what is that? Is that the activity section? Yeah. So if you go on my LinkedIn profile and you scroll halfway down, there's an activity section. And then like the second most recent post, you're going to see it. I posted like 4 hours ago. Okay. So there's a post there. And for those of you that are on YouTube and on LinkedIn, HireVue questions, or so requests, JPMorgan HireVue questions here. Okay. I'm going to drop that as a comment on both LinkedIn and on YouTube. So you guys can go ahead to that link, follow the instructions, and get your hand on this list. Okay. We will probably, so what's going to happen is once you comment on that, we will, I will reach out to you to ask you some questions to make sure that like it actually makes sense for us to send you this. Cause like, we don't want to just send this to everyone. And honestly, to be honest, like the more people that have this in their hands, like the less of an advantage it is. Right. So we want to make sure that it's only going to the hands of people that's actually useful for. All right. So anyway, that's like the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is like, once you apply, and as soon as you apply, JPMorgan is going to invite you to this HireVue. And then typically, once you get the invite to the HireVue, you're going to want to apply, you're going to want to respond to the HireVue or like do the actual interview within 48 to 72 hours. So like, even like sometimes like the banks will actually tell you the exact deadline that you have to do the HireVue by, but even if they don't, in our experience, you want to do it in 48 to 72 hours. Okay. Because the other thing, if you take a really, really long time to respond to it, is like, they can also see like how long it took you to respond. Right. And like, the nature of investment banking is that like, if someone gives you work and asks you to do the work, they expect you to do that very quickly. Like they want to hire someone who's actually going to be responsive. Right. And so they're also like seeing how quickly you can actually like finish the deliverable that's given you. Right. So you don't want to like hold on to this thing for a month or 2 months. Like you want to be prepared. In other words, like I would not even submit your application for JPMorgan until you've actually had a chance to go through this list of questions and you've actually had a chance to apply or not apply. Had a chance to like go through this list of questions, come up with the good answers that you're happy with, and had a chance to practice it. Okay. So that's what I would do. And then also the other thing to know about JPMorgan, like this is a question that we've been getting all the time, which is like, hey, now that the JPMorgan application is open, like, do I need to apply right away? Or like, can I wait? Right. And I would say like, in general, for most, if not all banks, probably not all, but for most of the banks, if they are posting their application already, they are usually hiring on a rolling basis. Okay. More banks than not are typically hiring on a rolling basis. And so what that means is that it's advantageous to apply as early as possible. And a lot of banks, they also do like multiple rounds of interviews. Like they'll do like multiple rounds of super days. And like, if you are in the earlier super days, there's more openings available still at that time. And so like, it's actually easier to get an offer versus if you're in like the later super days, sometimes you're actually like constrained by how many offers are still left. So like, for example, we have a client last year or 2 years ago who got to the super day for Goldman Sachs, but Goldman Sachs had 2 rounds of super days and he was in the second round. So he was in the later round. And it turned out that from that second round, he was like, I think the second highest rated candidate that day out of the entire super day. But none of the people from that second super day got offers at Goldman because it was like the guy above him was the first alternate. And then he ended up being the second alternate because all the offers had already been given out during the first super day. Like they liked enough people from the first super day that they gave out too many offers. And then literally, even though he was the second best performer on his day, like he ended up not getting the offer from Goldman Sachs. And then so like, it was this close, right? And he ended up going to, he ended up at a middle market bank, which is like, honestly, unfortunately, it's like a huge drop off from Goldman, right? But like sometimes it's a game of inches, right? And so all that is to say, like, it's a huge advantage to apply as soon as possible, especially when they're hiring on a rolling basis. The only time that I would not apply right away is if your resume is not ready. Like your resume is not in good enough shape. You don't have enough relevant experience on there. You don't feel like you're a competitive candidate. Like sometimes people don't have any relevant experience on their resume yet. Like if that's the case, if that's you, there's no point like saying, oh, I'm just going to apply early because it's more advantageous. Like you're going to apply, your resume is going to get tossed out, right? What you actually want to do is, in that case, is like go and get some relevant experience on your resume ASAP so that you can like at least have something to point to. And also when you apply, you're actually a better candidate so that, you know, people will actually be more likely to choose your resume. Okay. So anyway, that's like the only thing that should be holding you back from applying ASAP should be your resume if it's not good enough yet. And by the way, if your resume is not good enough yet, that is one of the things that we can help you with or help you fix very, very quickly. Like we can help you get your very first relevant experience, probably just in 1 or 2 weeks on average, even if you have no prior experience whatsoever. Okay. Even if you've been applying to a bunch of internships, trying to get relevant experience, no one will talk to you. No one is willing to interview because you have no relevant experience on your resume. Like it's almost like a chicken and an egg problem, right? It's like, I know I need relevant experience, but no one will hire me because I don't, or no one will interview me because I don't have relevant experience. So how am I supposed to get relevant experience? Like people ask us that all the time, right? So we've gone and we had to figure that out for our own clients, but like we have to figure out a way and a system to like help people who have no relevant experience get their first relevant experience. And like, we can get you a highly relevant internship that's highly flexible with your schedule that you can do part-time on the side, on top of school. And like you can get it very quickly within like just 1 or 2 weeks. And it's worked so far 100% of the time for like hundreds of students. Like every single student that has needed to get this internship has been able to get one. So like if you want us to show you how to do that, feel free to reach out to us or DM me on LinkedIn and ask me about it. And like, you know, we can talk to you about what that will look like. Okay. So anyway, like the last thing I will say is like on the point of like this rolling application thing, a lot of banks, when they open applications, they won't have like a listed application deadline. In that case, like you can almost always assume that's because they're hiring on a rolling basis. So there is no set deadline, right? But a lot of times, like even banks that have set deadlines on their applications, like we've seen this with like Credit Suisse, for example, and like there's some other banks that I can't recall off the top of my head. Even those banks that have listed deadlines, sometimes these banks will post applications and they'll have like a listed deadline like 6 months out, 9 months out, like, and it gives you the illusion that you have a lot of time. And in reality, the whole time they're still hiring on a rolling basis. They're giving out interviews, they're giving out super days, they're giving out offers. And so like, don't fall for that trap. Don't like think that, oh yeah, the deadline's not until September, so I can wait until like August before I apply. Like, no, you still want to apply as soon as possible. Okay. Like, so that's like the last kind of like caveat that I wanted to give you guys, so that you guys don't kind of like find yourself being way too late for a process because you thought you had more time than you actually had. Okay. So anyway, like that's kind of like what I wanted to preface before I start diving into questions. I think there's a ton of questions that have come in already. So let me just start going through these questions, and I might not even have enough time to go through all these. So I'm going to try my best. All right. So let me start on LinkedIn. So Winston already answered that question. Ziad asks, if I'm expecting my GPA to increase at the end of this fall semester, is it better to wait until the new year to submit my application or just submit it as soon as possible? Yeah, I would say that's also part of like the resume thing that I talked about. Like if your resume is not good enough yet, I will wait, right? But like, and part of your resume not being good enough might be your GPA. Like if your GPA is going to increase a lot, the end of the semester is like probably what, 10 days away, 2 weeks away. Like it's not that far away. So yeah, in that case, if it's going to make a big difference on your GPA, I would absolutely wait. And I would like get everything else ready and apply as soon as you get your GPA updated. Okay. So that's that. Spencer Longy asks, what do you personally look for in a student to deem them eligible to work with Street Mastermind? Honestly, Spencer, it's a great question. Honestly, like the only criteria is just like, it's a holistic review, right? We have to look at like your resume. What have you already done so far? What do you feel like you need help with? Like, cause everyone's struggling with different things. Like, so you're going to have to tell us like, what do you feel like you need the most help with? And every person's different. There's no right or wrong answer here, right? And then like, depending on what you need help with, and then also like, most importantly, where are you at in the recruiting timeline, right? We also look at a lot of listings. We look at your GPA. Are you an international student or not? All these things affect like your chances of getting into investment banking. And again, the way we operate is that like, we don't want to invite someone to the program unless we feel very, very confident. Like you might not have what it takes to get the job right at this moment based on where you're currently at. But we want to feel very, very confident that if you came in now with the amount of time that you have left, if you had our guidance, you have a very high probability of getting in, right? That's why like we're able to offer things like the money back guarantee. Like we can't just give that to anybody and everybody, right? So we have to vet you. And like, that's not to say that, hey, you have to go to Harvard or Wharton or like a top tier target school, whether you have to have a perfect GPA. Like, no, like you don't have to have any of those things. Like those things are nice. We love those things if you have them, but that's not a mandatory requirement, right? 55% of our students don't go to target schools, still get offers, right? Over 40% of our students don't have a GPA above 3.7. They still get offers, right? And so like, it's not like we're only letting in like, you know, the people that are already shoo-ins, like the people that are already shoo-ins, they're probably not coming in and working with us anyway, right? So like, to answer your question, like we look at a lot of things, but it's just like, we rely on our experience of having worked with hundreds and hundreds of students and seeing like who has gotten in, who hasn't. And then like just doing the pattern recognition around like, okay, based on these fact patterns, how confident are we that we're going to be able to get this person in? And if we feel confident, we're going to invite you in, right? If we don't feel confident, we're going to tell you very honestly why we don't feel confident. We're going to give you that feedback. And we're going to tell you like what we think you could do on your own with or without us to go and like try to overcome that issue. Or like sometimes people like go back and work on whatever it is that they need to work on, and they come back to us and work with us later down the road, right? So like whatever it is that we just want to do, we want to make sure it's a great partnership. We want to make sure that if you work with us, it's a win-win. Okay. So next question, Daniel says, is late January considered late to apply? Depends, right? I mean, depends on how long the firm has been open. Like if you're talking about JPMorgan, I mean, late January, I think you might still be okay. To be honest, like again, unless you have a good reason to wait until late January, I probably wouldn't wait that long. Okay. So maybe if you give me more context on why you want to wait till late January, like I can give you like a better opinion on if I will wait or not. Okay. All right. Let me come over to YouTube real quick. So on YouTube, Ruhan asked, what's the right time to apply? I kind of already covered that ASAP, right? Networking for JPMorgan. Wasn't networking like made redundant by JPMorgan? Yeah. So that was like what they were telling people for a while, but I can tell you for a fact that we have students in Wall Street Mastermind that have networked with JPMorgan and then have gotten official emails from JPMorgan, like automated emails from JPMorgan confirming that they got referred by an employee at JPMorgan. And then also that email then like gave them access to like a special portal that only people that have gotten referrals to get access to, with like additional resources and whatnot. And so like, I don't know why they told people over the last couple of years that like they did away with networking. Like I can tell you just based on what I know and based on the students that we've worked with, that is not true, or at least it's not 100% true. Okay. So, I was absolutely still network with people at JPMorgan. Skyridge Shadow says, I'm a freshman in college. What is the best way to approach extracurriculars, especially as an engineering major? Yeah, in terms of extracurriculars, like you want to make sure that you're joining like the relevant student organizations on campus, right? So a lot of schools now have like these investment banking feeder clubs. A lot of them also have like investment funds that are managed by students, finance clubs, like, you know, anything of that nature. I think like those are typically the best clubs to join. A lot of those clubs also are becoming like more and more selective. Like you have to apply, you have to interview, you have to like actually get selected. Like a lot of them, like the biggest difference between like something like that and Wall Street Mastermind is like a lot of them, like they will only take the best students who are probably already have the best chance of getting in already anyway, right? And so like if you're getting into those clubs, like, you know, you're probably in good shape already anyway. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. But like, it doesn't matter if you're an engineering major. Investment banks don't care what you major in. You can get into investment banking no matter what you study. Okay, like we have people in Wall Street Mastermind that are like liberal arts majors. We have people that are engineers. We have people that study law, pre-med, whatever you name it. Like banks don't care. Okay. What are some certifications to have that will make us stand out? Elisa, honestly, not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of certifications that matter. Like it's not really about certification. So I know that's probably not the answer you're expecting, but I'm gonna tell you like that is not one of the more like bigger needle movers that you should be working on. Okay. So I would just like not even worry about that. Sean Maldonado asks, how hard is IB full-time recruiting with corporate banking and PE internships? I I mean, if you have corporate banking and PE internships, you can certainly recruit for full-time. I think like we've gotten plenty of people in from corporate banking into IB for full-time, or even from PE into IB for full-time. Full-time recruiting will be harder than summer internship recruiting no matter what, because there's a lot fewer jobs, right? Like most of the full-time offers go to the summer interns first, like probably 80 to 90%. And then like, if they still have leftover positions that haven't been filled, then they will go out and try to do full-time recruiting. So you're fighting for like the last 10 to 20% of the spots that are available, right? And so like, that's just something to keep in mind. But like, if you are late and you just like, you have to recruit for full-time, then, you know, it is what it is. So like, you just gotta be even better, basically. And like, also you have to network a lot more than you would for summer, because for full-time recruiting, like networking has to be done at the group level, not at the firm level, because you don't know which group's going to have openings. So it's almost like, instead of Goldman Sachs, instead I have a referral at Goldman Sachs, you need to have referral within each group at Goldman Sachs, in case like this is the group that has an opening and you don't have anyone there, then you're not going to get referred, right? So you almost have to treat each group individually as like a smaller boutique bank, essentially. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Usually how much will it cost for attending program? Yeah. So, there's a very wide range, by the way, like, but like we customize how we work with each person based on what you need help with and how much help you need. Right. And so like everybody's different. This is why, like, one, we have to vet you to see if we can even help you. But then like, two, we need to ask you questions about like what you actually feel like you need help with. And like, we're only going to help you with the things that you tell us you need help with. Right. And so like, based on that, if we decide we're confident we can help you and we want to invite you in the program, then we will like, you know, give you a precise quote based on like the scope of like the work that we'll be doing together. Right. So it's like, it would be very irresponsible for me to like give you a quote right now without knowing anything about you. A call with not even our team. Okay. You can first book a call, a free virtual coffee chat with one of the successful alumni that have already gone through our program. Okay. And so this is like usually an upperclassman who's currently, you know, maybe a senior, and they've already gone through our program and they want to, and they've already successfully gotten an offer from either a bulge bracket or elite boutique bank. And the purpose of this call is not even to like for us to vet you or for us to like invite you in the program or anything like that. Like this call is just like purely informational. It's like an informational interview. It's for you to talk to a real human being who's actually gone through our program, a real human being who's also fully doxed, so you can actually ask them whatever questions you want, right? Because a lot of people have questions about our program. They don't know if it's actually a good fit for them. We highly encourage everyone to actually go and do your due diligence, right? Because there's a lot of people that make all sorts of like bogus claims about our program online. I'll just tell you this, like one tangent, and allow me to rant for a little bit. A lot of people that almost every single person that hates on our program online, like they've never actually done the program. And because they chose not to do the program, they don't want you to do the program. Because if you do the program and they don't do the program, think about it. It's a huge competitive advantage for you, but it makes it harder for them to get a job, right? On the other hand, think about all of these alumni in our program that have already gotten jobs at these top banks. Their future is set. They have a great offer lined up. They have no reason to associate themselves with a program that's not legitimate and to go out and like, you know, advocate on our behalf to other people. So like, they're fully doxxed too, by the way, right? Like they have a lot to lose if they just go out and like lie to a bunch of people about this program that's like, you know, not legit or it's a scam, as a lot of people claim. So like, that's why I want to give you the opportunity to just like actually talk to a real human being. We're so transparent about like what it is that our program is and what we can do and what we can't do. And like I said, if we can't help you, we don't want to work with you. Like we offer a money back guarantee. The last thing we want to do is like do a bunch of work with you for months and months and months and have to refund you at the end. Like if we do that, if we have to do that, my team has to get paid no matter what. They don't care. Okay. That means I'm actually literally paying out of my pocket for these people to help you. And I'm not getting paid. Right. So like, I just would not do that. And so like the incentives are fully aligned. We're only going to help the people that we're absolutely confident we can get results for. And it's going to be a win-win. It's going to be a huge, like no matter what the package ends up being for you, I can tell you this, right? We'll get you into investment banking. We're going to like junior summer internship at a reputable bank. You're going to make upwards anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000 over a 9 to 10 week internship. That's just your summer. Okay. That will be an insane ROI on the investment already, because our program is honestly like not very expensive, even just compared to your summer pay. But that's not even taking into account the full-time pay, you making $150,000 to $200,000 plus right out of college, Again, assuming it's at a reputable bank, right? That's what like bulge bracket elite boutique banks and even middle market banks are paying nowadays, 150 to 200,000 plus, right? The highest end, like if you go to a Centerview, Evercore, whatever, those firms are even paying 300 plus for their first years. Like we have clients that are getting packages that are $300,000 as a first year analyst, right? And so like if you think about that, you compare that to the average college grad today that's making $55,000 a year. Go look this up. Go Google how much average college grads in the United States make today. $55,000 a year. So if we can at least like triple or quadruple what you would be making right out of the gate, and then that sets you up for the rest of your career. Better exit opportunities, more prestige, right? Better network, all right? Better learning experience, better skill set. And now you're going to like that earnings gap is only going to increase over time as you get more and more senior, as you get promoted, as you move up the career ladder, right? And so like the lifetime value of this is tremendous, right? Like, so I don't even want, like, I would not even approach this first and foremost about like, oh, like, you know, like what's the cost? Like, it's not a cost, it's an investment, right? It's like, think about how much you've already invested to go to college. Some of you are paying $70,000, $80,000 a year, or your parents are paying $70,000, $80,000 a year just for you to go to college. All for what? So you can get the best job possible. So if you're spending $200,000, $300,000 to go to college, what if your college told you like, hey, pay us like an extra 1%, pay us an extra 2%, or whatever it may be, whatever it turns out to be, and we'll guarantee that you get this job that pays multiple six figures right out of college. And if you don't get this job, we'll refund you. Like, would you do that? No college is crazy enough to do that because they can't promise that, right? Like colleges are so ridiculous now. Like the amount of money they're charging for schools, like it's getting to the point where like a lot of people say that's a scam, right? And that's a whole other debate. We're not going to get into that here, right? So anyway, I'm going on tangent here. I want to come back. I'm not just like here to pitch you guys on the program, but like since you asked, I want to tell you about it. I want to come back and make sure I answer as many questions as I can and like give you guys as much value as possible. Okay. And it's like, I'm talking so fast right now because I want to make sure I can get through as many questions as I can. Okay. So if I'm like not perfectly enunciating or if I'm like slurring a little bit, like just excuse me. Okay. What would you recommend for a college student? Actually, sorry, let me come up. I skipped some questions. Raul says, should I apply even if I haven't networked with people at the firm yet? You can apply first and then network. Ideally, you network first and then apply. But if that's the only thing stopping you from applying, I wouldn't let that stop you. I would just apply first and then network. Again, the only thing that I would let stop you from applying is if your resume or your GPA is not where it needs to be yet. Okay. What path would you recommend for a college student at a non-target with a low average GPA take to try and better a chance of breaking the IB or other financial related rules? I mean, like, how low is low? It depends, right? Like, obviously, try to raise your GPA, right? I was like, minimum, bare minimum needs to be at least a 3.0. It can't be like, obviously, the higher the better, right? Like, ideally, you want to be at least above a 3.5, right? Especially if you're at a non-target school, okay? But other than that, like, any flaws that you have in your application, like like especially on the GPA side, the way to make up for that is to make up for it with better work experience and with better networking skills. Get more people to like you, get more people to be willing to refer you, tell them your story, win them over. And like they might even ask you why your GPA is so low. You need to have a good story to prepare for that. And if you're able to like explain that in a way that's convincing, then like they might be willing to overlook the fact that you went to non-target school, you went to or you have a lower GPA, right? By the way, a lot of people that go to non-target schools, it's not because they weren't good students, or it's not because they couldn't get into better schools, or they couldn't go to target schools. Like a lot of people that go to non-target schools, they go to non-target schools because of financial reasons, right? Because they can't pay $70,000, $80,000 a year to go to Ivy League school, even though they got in. So they go to a state school and they pay like $20,000, $30,000 a year. That's a lot of money. That's a big difference, right? So like, just because you go to non-target school, like it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not qualified, right? Again, like I said earlier, 55% of our students who get offers in banking do not go to a target school, okay? What path would you recommend for a college student as a freshman at Duke University pursuing a biomedical engineering degree? Usually engineering majors have a low GPA, but at a target school. Yeah, I mean, again, same thing. Like if you're a freshman year is like the most important time to like be building up your resume. GPA is obviously a part of it. Try to keep that as high as possible, but you need to be getting relevant work experience, relevant internship experience, and relevant extracurricular activities. Okay, like those are the two other most important things. Internships are more important than extracurriculars, but both are important aside from your school and your GPA. Okay. And like, if you think about it, summer internship, your junior summer internship application is going to open up about halfway through sophomore year. Like all the sophomores right now like applications opening up for them. JPMorgan just opened for them, right? So like you have about basically the next year or so, probably slightly less, because every year the timeline moves up a little bit. You have the next year or so to really go and like build up your resume with enough relevant experience. Like ideally, like the most competitive candidates that we've seen nowadays, typically I would say have probably like at least 2, if not 3 relevant internships on their resume by the time they have to apply. Okay. So you can work backwards. Like if each internship has to be 2 or 3 months, usually like you want to stay there for at least 2 or 3 months, that's going to take you at least 6 to 9 months just to like complete those 3 internships, right? Which is why that's a long lead time. And like, you just need time to find internships, right? So that's why you have to start as soon as possible, even as a freshman. Okay. Henry Stevenson says, hey, Sam, hope you're well. Have you had any of your clients go directly into hedge funds? Example, Citadel, P72. Most people do IB than hedge fund, but I was wondering if any of your clients have done hedge funds directly. I have to check. I don't think it's very common. We have had clients that have gotten offers from 0.72, I think, maybe. Definitely a lot of clients that have like interview with 0.72, but like, you know, that program is very, very selective. So I would just say like, it's very rare. Even if we do have people that have gone directly to hedge funds, like it's very rare. There aren't that many hedge funds right now that hired directly out of college. So like Citadel, 0.72, those like the couple that you mentioned, like the ones off the top of my head, and those are like extremely selective, right? So I think it's like possible, but I don't think it's like, I wouldn't say it's probable for anyone, no matter who you are. I don't care how qualified you are, right? We have a bit more people that go straight to private equity. Like even for summer 2023, we had someone that got placed in the KKR for the summer analyst program. We also had someone get placed in Blackstone for private equity for the summer analyst program. So like, I think one of those programs took 5 people and the other took 6 in the entire country, right? And so like we had 1 each, which you know, something that we were pretty proud of. So if you want to like recruit directly for the buy side, like honestly at the undergrad level, like I think a lot of the prep is like very similar. And so like chances are most likely we could definitely still help you. Okay. It's just like the way to think about it is if you want to recruit directly for the buy side, the bar is even higher. It's even more competitive, right? And you have to be even better. And there's even fewer spots. So like, it's even more reason why you will need like any competitive advantage you could possibly get your hands on, right? And Wall Street Mastermind could be one of those things, like, but it could be a lot of other things too. Okay. Mohammed says, do you have experience with candidates applying for BlackRock? Yeah, we have candidates that have applied for BlackRock for sure. And we have candidates that have gotten offers from BlackRock. If so, is the final round more technical or behavioral? What would you recommend to prepare for the ETF and index investing tech summer analyst role? So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know every single group at BlackRock, including the ETF or index investing roles. But I'm just going to pull up our interview questions database real quick. So we have this interview questions database where basically a lot of our students, like once they actually go through an interview, they will go and like submit the questions that they got into the database so that other people can like kind of benefit from it. So I'm looking at like, I don't have any entries for those 2 groups specifically, but I do have an entry from someone who interviewed for BlackRock's infrastructure team. But the questions there are like pretty simple. It's like, tell me about yourself, why BlackRock, why infra, what are the revenue streams for the JFK airport, and then tell me about a recent market news that you found interesting. So those are the 5 questions I saw there. Another one was for Tokyo office and fixed income product strategy. And the answers or the questions that were listed there were, tell me about yourself, why fixed income, why BlackRock, tell me about this internship experience on your resume, what do you know about fixed income, any news or recent events regarding the space, where would you invest right now and why, what are some areas of risk in the market currently, and tell me about a time you worked in a team that was successful. Tell me what's the most difficult aspect working in a team. So like, these are some examples of questions that our other students have gotten from BlackRock. So hopefully that helps you. They're not for the exact same group, but directionally, like there's probably going to be pretty similar to some of the questions that you'll get, right? And just so you guys know, like this is what the students in our program do all the time. Is like they have an interview with someone, they can just go and pull up this interview questions database that I'm looking at right now. And then they can like scroll through and see like what are some questions from this firm that other people have gotten asked before, right? So like if I scroll through this, like literally like we got thousands of questions in here. Okay. Like it's just like this giant spreadsheet, like each row is like, you know, one one person's entry, and like this person interviewed at Goldman Sachs in New York, first interview, second interview, third interview, this is for the super day, right? For summer 2022, right? And it's still like, you can go in here and like look at like what questions other people have gotten, which is like a really, really useful resource, right? And also like just good resource to like, use as practice questions, right? So like, this is one of the other benefit of like, kind of like being a part of like our community and our network is like, there's network effects. There's like hundreds of people before you that have already gone through the process, and you're learning from their experience as well. You're not expected to know everything. Like, you get to benefit from what they've already gone through, right? You get to, leverage other people's intel. So you're not going through recruiting on your own, which is like typically a very lonely process. But when you have a support network, it doesn't have to be that way, right? So anyway, hopefully that helps, Mohammed. We usually don't share that resource with anyone that's not in the program. So I just pulled the questions out for BlackRock and share it with you, okay? Drew asks, should we try to network before apply? Yeah, ideally, if you can, absolutely. If not, and you have to apply first and then follow up with the networking, that should be fine too. Should we wait until we actually start an upcoming position on our resume? I think if you already secured the job, you can actually like front run it a little bit and like add it as an incoming position on your resume. And then like, especially if you're in a rush to apply, just so people know that you're going to be starting this internship, right? Like, it's not your fault that these firms are starting to recruit so early that you don't have the opportunity to do the internship before you actually apply. But if you're going to be doing the internship, then obviously you still want to get some credit for it, right? I'm working as a winter analyst. Should I wait until I start that job? No, I wouldn't wait. Okay, I would just like add it to your resume ASAP. Eli Minsk asks, hi Sam, where's the link to apply? The link on LinkedIn and their website both don't seem to be working. It should be wallstreetmastermind.com/apply. So the street is abbreviated to ST. So it's wallstmastermind.com/apply. I just tried the link and it does seem to work. So hopefully, I mean, if you want, let me drop that link down below again. So here it is. And you can try that. And I'll drop it again on LinkedIn as well. Actually, LinkedIn already has it. But like, for those of you that are on Instagram, it's just wallstmastermind.com/apply. Okay. All right, next question. Yad says, is this course also for people from the Netherlands? We can help you, even if you're in Europe. We have helped place people into like the London office before, for example. So if that's what you want to do, yeah, we can still help you. Okay. Hey Sam, is Series A funding considered VC backed? Yep, Series A is typically means it's VC backed. Usually, I mean, yeah, Series A, anything A or above, like even seed round, like a lot of times VC backed. Okay. All right, so we finally got to the questions on YouTube. We got to the questions on LinkedIn. I'm gonna come over to Instagram here. Sorry to the Instagram folks. I know you guys have been waiting for a while. TM Crux says, is junior year of college fine to start an apprenticeship? Yeah, I mean, that's totally fine. I mean, the earlier you start, the better. But yeah, like junior year is fine. Let's see, what's next? Can students studying in the UK apply for the internship in NYC? Yeah, you can apply for an internship in NYC, but like, it'll be a little bit harder. Like, it'll be easier for you to apply for the London office. But like, if you do apply for New York, like they're not going to be actively trying to recruit from your school because your school's in the UK. So basically, you should treat yourself as a non-target student, even if you go to one of the top schools. So like that, all that means is that you're gonna have to network a lot harder for them to actually be like even have you on their radar, and like not to mention be willing to hire you. Okay. Let's go to the next question. Wyatt Johnson. Hey, I'm currently a freshman at a non-target school. I'm majoring in finance with an investment major. I have about 2,250 LinkedIn connections. How can I make up for not being at a target school? Yeah, I mean, having LinkedIn connections is a good start, but like, the best way to make up for being at a non-target school is one, having a better resume, right? Have a better GPA, have better work experience, have better extracurriculars. And then like the other thing is like, you're gonna have to network with a lot more people. Because you have less alumni from your school that are already working on Wall Street, you're most likely gonna have to network with more people to get to the same number of referrals, right? But as long as you have a referral at the firms that you're trying to apply to, and you should aim to have at least one referral at each firm, but ideally 2 to 3 referrals. Okay, so if you have at least 2 to 3 referrals at each firm that you're applying to, then you're in pretty good shape, right? But like if you're applying to, like, let's say if you're trying to apply to all the bulge bracket and all the elite boutique banks, and like maybe even some of the middle market banks, like, Jeffries and Houlihan Lokey and stuff like that, that's easily going to be 20 banks, right? So if you need 2 to 3 referrals at each of the 20 banks, that's going to be, 40 to 60 referrals, right? So that's why it's important to start early. Like it can take a long time to get to 40 to 60 referrals, right? And also you need to, not every single person you talk to is going to refer you. And then not every single person you reach out to is going to be willing to talk to you, right? And so like, it's almost like this networking funnel, and you whittle it down. And at the very end, you need like 40 to 60 people to come out on the other side. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's keep going. Clay Worley 84 appears to be closed, Sam. Yeah. So Clay, I don't know when you joined, but I mentioned this at the very beginning. So JPMorgan opened their application for a few days, and then it seems like they've temporarily taken it down for now, over like the last 24 hours or so. But I expect that it's going to be back up very, very soon again. Like they definitely did not like stop recruiting. In fact, they've already started giving out HireVues to the people that were able to get their applications in while it was up. So like a lot of our students have already gotten HireVues, right? So again, I would just like stay on the lookout, keep checking back in. I'm sure it's going to open up again very, very soon. And like, just make sure you're ready to apply. Okay. Do you need a high GPA to have a chance? I mean, obviously, look, yes and no, right? Like the higher your GPA, the better. But like GPA is not the end all be all. There are a lot of people, I'll put it this way. There are a lot of people that have high GPAs that still don't get in. And there are a lot of people with lower GPAs that have gotten in, right? But like all else equal, a higher GPA is always going to make it easier for you to get in, right? Now, depending on like how low, like it has to be within reason. Like below a certain point, I would say like below 3.0, it's almost impossible, right? Below 3.5 is like not ideal, but like, we still do see, like we still do have students that have lower than 3.5s that still get in on a decent amount of times. And so like, it just depends. And also like, it's holistic, right? Like it's not just your GPA. We have to look at everything else, to look at your resume, to look at your networking skills. Like all those things matter too. That's like kind of like how you can make up for a slightly lower GPA, if that makes sense. Okay. Our freshman from Target School is eligible. I assume you mean like eligible for Wall Street Mastermind, but if that's what you're asking, then yeah, absolutely. Like if you're a freshman and you're from Target School, like we can definitely help you. Okay. What about juniors? Same thing. Like most of the time we can help juniors. There's some instances where we might not be able to help juniors. Like if you are like a second semester junior already and you're an international student and you're only got 1 year of OPT, like it might be kind of hard, because that means like at that point in time, like the second semester junior year, like all the bulge bracket, elite boutique and middle market banks are already done recruiting, right? Those are the ones that are willing to sponsor, and you only have 1 year of OPT, so you're definitely going to need sponsorship even during your time as an analyst. So like at that point, like your chance is going to be much lower, right? Like only thing we might be able to help you with is full-time recruiting, which we can help you with that. But again, like I said, like full-time recruiting, there's a lot fewer jobs, and so the degree of difficulty is much higher. So it doesn't mean we can't work with you. We might still be able to. We'll just have to like talk to you and like learn more about your situation and who you are as a candidate before we can like really know how confident we are about helping you. Okay. Danish Ahid asks, what courses should sophomores have taken to be eligible for the internship? I'm not sure what you mean. Like what you don't need, which internship are you talking about? Like there's no, most internships, like you don't have to take any courses to be eligible for a specific internship. Like you can take whatever courses you want, but like to get the internship, it's more about like having a good resume, or like having a presentable resume, especially if you're just starting out. It might not be that good, but it's at least like presentable. And then like knowing how to like network your way into that opportunity. Like a lot of these opportunities, especially for people that are just starting out or for underclassmen, like you can't even apply. Like it's not even like jobs that are posted. Like you have to actually like network with the firm and get on their radar that way. And a lot of times like they don't even have jobs posted, but because you networked with them, then they create a position for you. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. Do you need college? Yeah, unfortunately, you do need to go to a 4-year college for you to like actually qualify for investment banking jobs. Like they won't hire you if you don't, like if you're not like eventually going to graduate with a bachelor's degree. Okay. Why Johnson said, I meant to say finance major with an emphasis in finance. Thank you. Okay, no worries. How much is the program? We answered that before already. It's actually like all customized based on who you are as a candidate and what you need help with. So again, I would encourage you to like apply, or actually like apply for a virtual coffee chat. talk to one of the alumni from our program first, see like if the program is actually for you, right? Ask them whatever questions you want, do your due diligence, do your research, talk to a real human being who's fully doxed, see if you like what you hear. And then if you do, they can set you up for a follow-up conversation with our team. And that's the conversation where you're going to have to tell us what you're actually looking for help with. And based on what you tell us, then we can give you a more precise quote based on the scope of our engagement. Okay. Spencer says, what do you look for in a student? Yeah, Spencer, I think you already asked this on YouTube earlier, so I already answered this, or you asked this on LinkedIn. So I'm not gonna answer this again, just in the interest of time. And then what else? Are there more questions on Instagram? Scrolling. Had to step out. Did you answer the GPA question? Yeah, Walker, I did. So feel free to go back and watch this recording. It should be up on my YouTube channel and on my LinkedIn profile, and it'll be up on our Instagram page. Okay. Deets XRXO have quant trading related apps for past this Amet open up already. For this past summer. Quant trading, I don't know. We don't do quant trading. So I actually don't track quant trading at all. So I can't answer that question. So I don't want to mislead you. So I'm going to skip that question. Okay. We focus on more like investment banking, private equity, hedge funds, people that like equity research, like people who want to do those types of roles. Like quant trading is like very, very different from what we're trying to do, even though it's like technically a part of finance. Let me scroll down. You're the best, Sam. Oh, you're the best, Sam. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. 3.7. Yeah, I mean, Finis, Sarmata, if you had 3.7, that's really, really good. 3.7 or above, like no questions asked, right? Like GPA is not going to be the reason why you don't get into investment banking. Okay. Being a first semester junior, now that's like you're a little bit late in the process, but like again, it depends on like what you've already done up to this point and things like that, right? So happy to talk to you more in detail if you like want us to assess kind of like where your chances are and where you're at based on where you're at currently in the process. Okay. Ruhan asks, how common are middle market sophomore summer offers for non-diversity candidates? Most sophomore summer internships for bulge bracket, elite boutique, and even like the reputable middle market firms are typically only for diversity candidates. So like if you're non-diversity, like it's going to be very, very hard to get something like that. But if you're non-diversity, I would say like try to focus on like getting an internship for even like a smaller bank, right? Like, like it doesn't have to be like a name brand. You can go to like a regional boutique investment bank, for example, and that will still be very, very good for a sophomore summer internship. Okay. Finis Marta says, I don't need sponsorship on US citizen. Okay, that's great. Then that'll make things a lot easier for you. So that's good. Okay. So I think I just cleared through all the questions on Instagram too. So like, I don't know if people have any more questions. If you guys have more questions, whether you're on LinkedIn or YouTube or Instagram, I'll stay on for another 5 or 6 minutes. So feel free to like drop your questions down below if you have any last minute questions, in which case I'm happy to answer them. I'm glad I was able to get through all the questions so far. I had to talk really, really fast to get that done. And so I'm glad I got that done. Okay. I'm going to take a drink of water too, because I'm super thirsty. But while you guys are doing that, again, just to wrap up, if you guys are looking for a comparative advantage with recruiting in general, first of all, free gift for those of you that are still on this call and have stayed on through to the end. And if you missed me talking about this in the beginning, we have the list of all the JPMorgan HireVue questions that they could possibly give you. Okay, there's 24 possible questions. You're gonna get asked 3 out of these 24 questions. So if you just prep for all 24 questions, then you should be fully prepared. Okay, so if you want to get your hands on this list, then go ahead and go to my LinkedIn profile. Actually, I'll drop the link again. Well, if you're on LinkedIn, I already dropped the link earlier. On YouTube, it might have gotten buried, so I'm going to drop it again here. If you want the JPMorgan HireVue questions, go to that link, comment on the thread, and we'll get those questions over to you. Okay. If you're on Instagram and you can't see the link that I'm talking about, just go on my LinkedIn profile and then scroll halfway down. There's the activity section, and then the most recent activity is going to be this live stream that I'm doing, but the second most recent activity is going to be the post that I'm talking about, where we're giving away the list of HireVue questions for JPMorgan. Okay, so just like drop a comment there, and we'll get that over to you. Or we're gonna I'm gonna message you, reach out, ask some questions, make sure you're a good fit, and then as long as you are, I'm gonna send you those questions. Okay, so that's the first thing. First way we can help you. Second way, and the more comprehensive way, is like if you guys just want like help with the entire recruiting process from end to end, from now, starting right now until you're fully done with the process, until you have like the offer secured. So this could be like weeks, or most likely, like if you're starting at the very beginning of the process now, it could be months, right? And so like if that's what you want, then we can help you with anything you need, from building up your resume to helping you network to prepping you for the interviews, behaviorals, technicals, drafting out your answers, practicing with you, connecting you with other people in our network, alumni that are already working at these banks, upperclassmen that have already interviewed there, sharing past interview questions with you. Like even like, this list of HireVue questions, that's just like one example of like the type of stuff that we have access to, right? And in fact, like for the people in the program, like we actually like teach you another way to figure out not just like what are the 24 questions, but like what are the exact 3 questions that you are personally going to get. It's randomized, but like there's a way to figure that out, right? And so like things like that are, again, not really taught anywhere else. And like we can teach you these things that will just give you a huge leg up on the competition, right? So again, don't take my word for it. If you want, like it's by application only. So you can schedule a call first to talk to one of our alumni that has already gone to the program. They've already successfully gotten an offer from either a bulge bracket or elite boutique bank. It's usually going to be a junior or senior that's still in college. So one of your peers, they're fully doxed. You can talk to them. You can make sure they're a real human being. You can ask them about their experience. Make sure this program is legit. Make sure you think that what you hear is actually sounds like a good fit for you. And if that's the case, because we don't want to waste your time and we don't want to waste our team's time. Like we don't want to talk to you if it's not a good fit. But if you feel like this is something that's exciting to you, you feel like this is something that's going to get you an amazing offer, then they can set you up with our team for a follow-up call. And then you can apply. Then you can tell us what you need help with. Then we're going to learn more about your situation. And then we're going to very honestly assess if we can actually help you or not. And if we can, we'll make you an offer. We'll invite you to the program. We'll tell you what the investment is based on your situation is. And then we also have a money back guarantee. So meaning as long as you do the work we ask you to do, if you don't get the offer, we'll give you a full refund. So you literally have no downside, all upside. Okay. So that's pretty much it, guys. I think a few more questions just came in just now at the last minute. So I'm going to go through those real quick. Ruhan asks, how do you communicate OPT? Does 3-year OPT make a difference? Most people only stay for their analysts for 2 years anyways. Yeah, I think 3 years does make a difference. It is more favorable than 1 year. Some banks don't care, but for some firms, if you have 3 years, it's not as bad as if you only have 1 year. Because if you have 1 year, they definitely need to sponsor you. If you have 3 years, they might not need to sponsor you, right? And then one more question on YouTube. If my graduation in spring of 2024, but I'm not actually leaving until December, should I tell the firm that I'm graduating in December? Yeah, if you're not, well, I don't know what you mean by your graduation in spring 2024, but you're not actually leaving until December. If you're not graduating from school until December, then you should stay December. Because if you graduate December 2024, that makes you eligible to recruit for summer 2024. But if you're graduating in spring of 2024, then you're not eligible to recruit for summer 2024. So it's either one or the other, right? But if maybe I'm just not understanding what you're saying. So Raul, if you want, feel free to, DM me or whatever, and we can talk about it more. Okay. Okay, cool. I think those are all the questions that I see. We're also right on time. It's 9:30 Eastern now. So we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys for showing up. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. If you guys want to work with us, or you're potentially even just interested in exploring it, feel free to reach out to us. Otherwise, go ahead and comment on that LinkedIn post that I shared on my profile if you want to get your hands on the JPMorgan HireVue questions. And best of luck to everyone, regardless of whether we end up working with you or not. Best of luck to everyone for the upcoming recruiting process. And we'll talk to you guys soon. All right. Bye.